All right, what is up, everybody? Good to be back. Okay, we got some cards that were spoiled, obviously. We're gonna have to take a look at those, get like initial first impressions, little bit of analysis once again, not going too deep because we just don't have all the pieces. Kind of like last week, we didn't understand the cost and the value of officially marking somebody, which is still quite we're starting to see how that's happening, but I don't think we have quite enough information to truly make a proper analysis, if you will. So, but we're just gonna look at first glance, like, oh, that seems like a good card. That doesn't, things like that. But we're also going to kind of talk about what I hope Flesh and Blood does. Yeah, thoughts on gym packs? Exactly, Shane. Thank you for joining. And like, I remember I played in exactly one of the whatever Yu-Gi-Oh would consider an armory when I was maybe a couple. Um, and I remember they used to have like tournament packs. And that's actually very interesting. I used to feel excited opening those, when I was a kid, the few times that I did it, and it was a lot of fun. Never opened a mechanical chaser, but, it is what it is. But I'm interested to see what they put in it. I think that's more important than the concept of the gym pack, right? Because, I don't know, um if you just put, like, armory promos in the gym pack. Like say, we have the 3 laces, right? Like, that was part of the armory set. Is it a gym pack with a chance of 1 of each lace and maybe, like, a rare drop of a cold foil of each? Like, that seems a little underwhelming, to be honest. Um, but if they, like, do, like, a special sync blow promo or something like that, like, okay, okay, and it's, like, really rare or something, like, I want it to be like the Judge Pack. I want it to be as close as possible to the Judge Pack. It's art card, rainbow foil, normal. Okay. Yep. Okay. I can do that. I can do that. I'm gonna have to read up on it to give an official. Did they like post an article or something? I might have to read it to like give an actual opinion. And what they've shown seems to just be armory cards. Yeah, see, that's what I'm worried about, Shane, is I don't want that. I don't want that. But if it was like you don't want to make it the same as Judge Packs because then you like decrease the value that you are providing the judges via the Judge Pack. No problem going over that. Probably be one of the first things that we go over. Because I'm not too in the know of it, to be honest. I'm glad you mentioned it. So we'll definitely hit that. That's probably gonna be one of the first things. But I wanted to give a couple of ideas, also just kind of general thought process of what I would like from the game. We're talking like holistically, basically, maybe a new take on aggro or some, things along those lines, kind of like things, they might not get done, but, like, it would be cool. Maybe some ideas. Maybe it's already being done. Who knows? But we're just gonna kinda chat, and I would absolutely love a lot of engagement in this one. So tell me, like, what you wanna see, and we can actually discuss it, right? Like, Siffin's got the right idea, right? His wish list is that Nathan wins worlds, right? And, like, that's what we need to be talking. No, I'm just kidding. Um, Also, side note, we have a little bit of news. Um, as I've said on the stream a couple times, I will be at the Memphis Calling. However, I will be there that weekend in two capacities. Um, I am going to be playing the Classic Constructed Calling that begins on Friday. However, I will be unable to play the limited calling and I will be unable to play the limited calling or the battle hardened because voice is lagged. I haven't dropped a single frame. Interesting. Okay, YouTube issue. Yeah, I haven't dropped a single frame. So like everything over here is green. I don't know. Okay, it's fine. Cool. Thank you. Thank you so much. So like I was saying, I will be there for the calling. However, I'll be there in a second capacity. I will be a part of the broadcast team for the Battle Harden in Memphis. I will be in the booth as doing commentary with Sam and Ellie. I'm super excited for that opportunity, and I thank Sam for giving that to me uh, due to his new role as the production manager for LSS. So I am super excited to be able to do an official commentary broadcast for LSS in the game. So um, I really appreciate the opportunity to do that, and I'm very very excited. And I hope I can do it just because there are some absolute killers in that booth. Um, I mean, Ellie does an amazing job on like the analytics and like breaking it down. I mean, Punkage it just knocks it out of the park every time, and then Sam, of course, is just he's the flavor, right? Like, I mean, they just all do so much in that booth, and then Ethan just runs it to a T. So I'm excited to just do a little bit for it, be a part of it, and try something. You know, maybe I like it, maybe it's not my thing. We'll see. I always have enjoyed Southern Draw in the booth is a must for a Southern calling. See, now they get it. They get it. So we're gonna have a blast and we're gonna give it a go. And yeah, I'm super excited for it. So I just want to share that news with all of you. And yeah, the knowledge they display always blows me. Yeah, I mean, just the fact that you get like it, it's really good to have somebody that's analytical, but you also have to have somebody there. I mean, that's like the natural structure of commentary, but like they just cover it all so well. You could do it, Nathan. You're my favorite Fab streamer to watch. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Hey, did you see that new assassin spoiler card? I'm assuming you mean the attack that is a dagger attack, and yes, I did. And I think that that is very interesting card design. Kind of exciting, to be honest. If you're talking about the attack action, that is also a dagger attack. Um, really cool stuff. And we're gonna talk about all that after we do the whole Fab wish list topic. So now that we got all the news out of the way, let's hop right into do I think Assassin's going to be strong? I do because currently the meta is in a situation where people love blocking, and if any class can punish people blocking, um, it seems like the one to do that. Hope it means warrior gets a weapon attack. It's also a popper. That'd be kind of sick. That would be sick. It would not help the matchup in any way, but it would be sick. Okay, so let's hop over to the gym packs because I'm glad Shane mentioned that in the chat because I had no idea this article dropped. So we're gonna hop over there, and that's gonna be the first thing that we talk about. Kind of what direction I'm gonna give some feedback. I'm gonna keep it as honest as possible. Um, So here, let me make sure I got my chat where I can see it. Okay. Okay, so we have Gym Pack 1 starting in February 1st for the Armory featuring Marvel something. Okay, card they probably haven't spoiled yet. And then more chase cards related to the Hunted. Okay, so it seems like the Gym Pack will follow a set for. That's interesting. Does that mean that they have to do a Gym Pack every set? Right? Because you can't. Yeah, so every set they're gonna have to do another Gym Pack, which means it's a lot of Gym Packs. 3, 4 a year. The number's gonna climb pretty quickly. Pretty quickly. So first of all, I think it's a very interesting choice to dedicate a whole gym pack to a set. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that it could, like I said, like I mean, in 2 years we're going to be on gym pack 8 and 13 and 24 and like I don't know, maybe the naming convention. I'm not sure, but that's nitpicking, right? That's not important. Well, it's all important, but seems like we'll def get a volume per set. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Okay, so we have 22 of these, one of these that we don't know, and this indicates that it's a Marvel, and then we have 8 cold foil weapons. So I'm assuming that you have. So how many? 3 cards per pack. One regular print, one premium foil, which will be a rainbow foil, cold foil, or Marvel. So it'd be one of these. Regular print art card. 50 packs per carton, 32 card set. Okay. That's a lot of cards out of the set. This is actually very interesting. Also, that's like a lot of cards. So if there's 32 cards, then theoretically, let's see. Armory promos historically, the Armory promos have been like a cycle of cards, right? So like CYB. And then you have like so it's like a few cards out of the set, right, have Armory quote unquote treatment. Usually it's the weapons and like 4 different cards. Uh in Rosetta it was like what, root bound, it was like one of each, and then one of each element and class, so that's 4, and then CYB. So 5 plus the weapons is approximately what, 10 cards. So this is almost 3 times the normal cycle. Now, what I think is going to be interesting is if the gym pack encompasses one set, aka the hunted, what happens to the product that's in the box, right? Because now you have quote unquote a premium version, hopefully, a premium version of 32 different cards. So I'm almost imagining like the transcend marvels, right? Like to equal this type of volume, you would have to throw those marvels from the set and MST into the gym pack. Like there's gonna be a ton of cards. And so really you have like 2 choices. Either you kind of compete with what's in the box if you go with like cards that are extremely playable. Like imagine if Malefic was in this, right? Like, or a better example would be some of the Majestics, maybe like Succumb and things like that. Then you compete with like the foils in the box, which would theoretically drive the price down of those cards because these would enter the market. The whole point that I'm trying to make is the size is larger, which means there's more overlap with cards in the set, which means if this is not draft chaff, right? If it is, there's no competition, everything's fine. But if they start doing some of the Majestics or the highly playable cards that are actually above the rarity of rare, then there could be some competition. But it's probably just common and rare cycle, which would be fine. That's 7, 7, 8 cards per month, like armory plus weapon. It's not really that different. Okay, good point, Shane. So my entire point is non-existent. Thank you for saving it. If it's relatively the same, cool, easy. So there's no competition with the product. That's a great thing. Uh, the only confusion so far is the fact that dedicating an entire gym pack, but I mean that's the same thing as the armory. We'll release it. Okay, gym packs are the main form of prize support. Distribute free of charge. That's good. Participation over performance. Okay, so everybody just gets one, right? Anyone can join, but there's only 50 per carton in there. I'm assuming they're supposed to last. Does it say anywhere like do you get a carton per weekend or per week? Is it a carton a month? Like some armories are 30 people, right? And you have 50 packs. So if you have 4 30-person armories, then nobody's how are you distributing that? I'm assuming they just figured that out. I'm just going to assume they have figured that out. Or they have supplied the adequate amount to where everybody gets a pack every time they play. Okay. So after reading this, basically what they have done is they have taken the normal armory promos, no different, and then added a Marvel and a random card. Right? Is that the synopsis, chat? They went through allocation earlier post. Some stores get more than one box based. Okay, so yeah, they're doing it correct where they will allocate it appropriately. That's fine. As long as everybody gets a pack every time they play, everything's fine. But literally, it's not any different. It's just the armory promos being put in a pack with a chance to get a Marvel, which is an upgrade, right? The random card is a non-foil hero. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Do people want a non-foil hero? What hero? What? Okay, Blaze would make sense. Okay, yeah. Just a way to get it into the cycle. Okay. So, I mean, really, fundamentally, this is just armory promos with a chance at a Marvel. That is like gym pack in 10 seconds. Nope, the symbol. On the 1X non-Marvel, it says a hero. Okay, so they've included another hero in circulation. Okay, so it's armory pack or normal armory situation plus a Marvel and a hero into the mix. Oh, I see what you're saying because of the symbol there. Okay, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. You're saying it's the what is that? The intellect marker or whatever? I see what you're saying. Or life. Okay. So yeah. Um I'm gonna be 100. This is my take on the gym pack change. It's nothing but an improvement, but I like obviously if they add something to what they were already doing, it's an improvement. But like how much of an improvement? I mean, we'll just have to see on. Um, I think the change is going to be highly dependent on what this Marvel is. If it's a sought after card, I think it'll do well. I think your armory attendance will increase, which is the ultimate goal, to have a shot at acquiring a $50 card, right? Or whatever it ends up being. Because it is kind of rare, right? Um, so I think it's overall a good change. Uh, it's not what I thought it was going to be, but I think it's a good change. It's a miss from me, dog. It is. It could have been more. When I walked in, I was like, I was expecting one thing, and it was not it. It was not it. But Shane, I have to say that this has to be an improvement compared to what it is now, right? Is it miles of improvement? No, but it's an improvement. I think we have to give them that. Reprints was an easy dub. I do agree. Take the judge pack approach, but at the same time, there's only so many like impactful chase cards that you can go through, and you're kind of pulling from the judge pack promo, you know, card pool, if you will. Not saying that's a huge problem, but it's something that you have to keep in the back of your mind. Probably Phi, Dromite, or Jarl. I think Jarl would be a good one because I think somebody should be able to build the deck without getting the hero card, or should be able to get the hero card without buying the deck. Yeah, they will fix it too if it's truly a miss. I agree, Shane. I don't think it's a miss. I think it's an improvement, but I thought it was going to be more. This is the same format Yu-Gi-Oh uses, and the Marvel hit ends up being $50 to $200 depending on how meta it is. Okay, yeah. So the question is, will people show up for a 1 in 50 chance at pulling the Marvel? And the answer is probably yes. If you factor it in, that's because the store has to pay for lights and rent and all those things. So I think this will accomplish what it is being created to do. Um, could it have been a little bit more? 100%. I agree with you, Shane. It's good to attract and retain new players. People like gambling. Exactly, and it'll work. It'll work. I don't think we need a ton of data to understand that this will have some effect. How big of effect? Who the fuck knows? If the Marvel is CNC for the first, it's going to be they will not do that. I mean, I guess they could, but that would be, bro. Everybody be the store, bro. I tell you why they wouldn't do that. Well, I guess it's not even dependent on whether you win or not. You just now here's the problem. How many people are gonna show up, take the pack, and dip? I guess you could wait, give it to the end. I mean, there's ways around that. That's a solvable problem. That's a solvable problem. I want to see folks who don't have competitive decks show up and maybe get a CNC they can trade for cards they need, or maybe yeah. I mean, we just don't know what this card is. This would have been an amazing avenue for reprints to lower the cost of cards, But once again, you have that. I'm an advocate for Seeing C being a $10 card. Nothing would make me happier, even being a proud owner of 5 or 6 of them. Um, but there's a lot of people that would make really mad, and I have to respect both sides of that equation. My local armories always hand out promos at the end. Yeah, okay. So yeah, that's an easily solvable problem. I don't think it's that big. So yeah, I think it's an improvement. That's my final analysis of the gym pack. It is improvement upon the current system. Could it have been a little something different? Sure. Sure. Okay. So let's talk about once again. We're about to just start. I'm just going to start talking about kind of what I am, what my wish list is for Fab. And if you have any opinions, throw them in chat. We will talk about it. I would love to hear what all of you want from the game, right? Because I think that that's very important. Also, this can just be an avenue to communicate maybe with LSS. And, you know, maybe they can take into consideration some of the points brought up. Not saying that they'll watch it. I'm just saying that, it's there if they want to. And that's all that we can do. So stop the quest mechanics. The quest mechanics. I don't know what you're talking about. The quest mechanics? Like what? I'm just lost on that one. You'll have to explain that one to me. Um, Less disruption. I want to play my cards. Okay, let's talk about that, Nico. Because it's a good point, right? LSS, specifically Brian, has mentioned several times that people want to do powerful things. Um, when Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Okay, I got you. You're saying stop having to check a box before you can actually do the thing. I see what you're saying. Okay, so less disruption. So another word for disruption, theoretically, um, and I would beg the argument that disruption you could translate to interaction, right? Interacting with your opponent. I know you want to play your cards. Assuming that you want to play your cards, I'm assuming you play a hyper aggro deck, which is understandable. Anybody that's watched the streams understands my stance on the current situation of aggro and flesh and blood and basically how bad it is. Which is why decks that are historically aggro decks like Zen and Viscerai have all tailored back to be this very defensive postured um, deck because it's the optimal way to play Flesh and Blood currently. And if you disagree, well, I don't know what to tell you. Look at all the results, and you'll see more D reacts than not, and that's just how it is. Yeah, and that's what I was getting to in chat was if you don't have interaction, it becomes we've all seen the shorts or whatever of the game where they just slap each other back and forth until one falls over. Which I'm not saying that's not fun, right? That is definitely fun for some people. It's fun to spectate, right? Because anytime someone has big turns, I would make the argument that to how do I put this? To a greater audience, action-packed short things are more appealing from a consumer standpoint than deep, meticulous, gameplay. And that's just the reality of it. You can if you want proof of that, look at every sport. how the sport starts and how the sport is now. They've taken every possible way they can. Less time between plays. Um, they've done every single thing they can to make sure that it's boom, 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 right? And that's because it keeps viewer retention. People enjoy it more. Like there is a lot of data supporting that argument. So, circling back to your point, a lot of people, Nico, think the exact way you do. They want to do something, strong. They want to do something fast, and that's how they want to play the game. And currently in the game of Flesh and Blood, a lot of decks just don't let you do that. Now some do, right? Like if you sit across from a Zen, there's nothing they can really do that's going to stop you. Even Aurora, I would say that Assassin is really, I mean, the 2 for 6s, don't get me wrong. They hurt. But I think the 2 for 6s that apply to whatever deck you're playing. I'm talking Weakest Link, Erase Face, CNC. The card that basically says you can't do what you're trying to do. Um, in a game where the opposing player gets to consistently physically handle my cards is not good. I I kind of agree with that. I understand your point with new, and I don't think I think new does cross the line. Um, I do like the design of new. I think it's very interesting, but it's. I'm gonna go as far to say I've talked a lot on the stream about extreme polarization and Fab and how it typically corresponds with the illusionist class. Um, but I think new is the greatest example of extreme polarization in Fab, but it not regarding like it's just the fact of how she plays creates that polarization. Which I'm not, once again, I'm not saying it's directly a bad thing. I'm just saying there's a lot of people that just don't like it. You're probably the 120th person I've heard say that they absolutely hate playing against new. Um, and I understand it. I kind of enjoy it, so I'm not in the same. Um, I'm not in the same, but I definitely understand it. And maybe there is a balance where like CNC pummel is okay, but Sirens Call, Bonds, Persuasive, all those cards combined, Mask is just a little too much. So maybe Nico, maybe it's an MST problem and not necessarily a an assassin. Because like the new assassin, I don't see anything egregious. I see on hit banish a card, on hit blow up your arsenal, on hit this. Like it seems relaxed. It doesn't seem um, you know, as tailored, less abrasive, I'll put it that way. So hopefully, the assassin that comes in will not have people feeling that way. The problem is that some heroes and classes have been left behind when it comes to disruption, so it feels rough when you play a heavy disruption hero. I agree. I agree. And not even all the heroes can play the disruption, right? Warrior's a good example. You can't Dom Blade in 2 for 6. It's not like a very viable strategy. You could do it, but it's probably not a good thing to do. So it's interesting. And I do agree that some heroes have been left behind. The data would kind of support that. Um, and to be honest, I think that the situation of heroes being left behind is kind of um a whole nother situation because I completely lost my thought. I completely lost my thought. Oh, left behind. The problem is that supplemental sets are gone. and the expansion slot is the only way for people to get an influx of new cards. So I think it's a volume problem. Because imagine like Runeblade and Everfest came out, right? They got Shrill, they got Revel in Runeblood, they got Swarming Gloomveil, they got like this huge influx of cards. Look at Mech. Mech got Teclo Pounder. They got um what else did they get? They got T-Bone. They got a whole bunch of like tools that they all use today. Uh Illusionist got all the blue auras and Miraging Metamorph, and Brute got Swing Big. You know, all of these cards that they just got an influx, right? And they all became way more playable right off the bat. Whereas it would basically take, right, assuming that there were, I would say every class got approximately five. I mean, let's look, right? Um, we got time, right? Let's be methodical about this. Um, so I'm just gonna pull up the Everfest set and say, okay, if you're a class, how much support did you actually get? We'll go with like Brute first, just as an example. Bare Fangs, amazing card, right? You got, what else did Brute get? High Roller, it's solid play, especially in blue, I think. But like, I'm not gonna count it. I think that's a little bit of a reach, me personally. But you got Swing Big, Rolling Thunder saw some play. Um, Skull Crushers saw play. Swing Big definitely saw play, right? And this is just Wild Ride saw a ton of play. So you got 6 cards that were like playable, right? Now this set was a little pushed, obviously. Um, Granted what resulted from it. But to get that same influx of playability into a hero that was, let's face it, considered almost forgotten, you would have to have almost 2 years worth of expansion slot cards, right? To equal the same amount of support. Now, that's not factoring in one very, very important thing, and that is, well, is that one expansion slot card going to support KO? Is it going to support Rhinar? Because those cards look completely different. Like, they can make a card that supports both, but not all of them are going to do that, right? Like that 2 for 6 that blows up the intimidated card. Like, that's a good example, right? KO ain't intimidating nobody. So we could safely assume that maybe, you know, 30 1/3 is one class, 1/3 is one class, and then 1/3 kind of overlaps, right? To get 6, if you're a Rhinar player, to get 6 cards, right, at 66% of the sets per year on a, assuming 3 sets a year, that means that you get 2 cards a year. So to get the same influx of power from the Everfest set, you would have to wait 3 years, not counting a set with the class in it. Okay? Now, why is that important? Well, not the set does not always support that hero a lot. It can, but you just have to, you know, take it with a grain of salt, if you will. So I don't know. Maybe the expansion slot, maybe it's a I don't want to say quality because I don't want to say that they're bad, but maybe they need to be juiced a little bit uh, to kind of create that influx that we kind of got used to in that supplementary set kind of situation. Let me get caught up in chat. So that's kind of my my bit on the classes being left behind is I think that's due to them going to expansion slot. Um I mean Ranger hasn't gotten what was the last like I guess maybe they're kind of fixing that with armory decks, things like that. Um but that's a lot to balance. That is a lot to balance. I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt that the influx of products, right? You have like the the Guardian pack is probably gonna fix this. Or the mastery pack, whatever they're calling that product line. As a in between of doing a supplemental set versus so I think that will solve the left behind problem. I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt and assume that kind of bridges that gap. I don't hate her because of what she does, but Jesus L says, why does the opposing player get to pick up my deck and look through the entire thing as long as they want? I spend a lot of money on this stuff. Um, and it's very interesting, right? And it basically comes down to a rule where that's the only way that they can enforce it if they let you look through it. But I've been on edge about that whole interaction ever since Arachne came out. It's just a weird dynamic where you know the opponent like touches your cards and stuff like that. I never played Magic. I don't know if that's like a normal thing in Magic. Um, I have no idea. But I will admit, it wasn't a problem with Arachne because nobody played Arachne, so it didn't really matter. But I could see how it could rub people the wrong way. The issue is aggro decks powerful things being toned down makes disruption conversion more understandable. Like you don't get to find that window to play Art of War to get back into the games anymore. And that's kind of what I mentioned in my video, basically saying the aggro is dead in Flesh and Blood. Is exactly that point where the high is no longer high enough to justify the risk. And you're exactly right. And that's just yeah, that's where it lands. Honestly, I think a certain degree of opponent touching your card is something you just have to accept in any card game. I mean, that's probably right. Like people picking up cards and raiding. Um, that's fair. That's a fair take. That is a fair take. And their right to shuffle. That's a great example. I do agree. Uh, I guess it feels evasive or not. That's not the right word. Uh, and my opponent and my opponent knew the other MST heroes by extension were well balanced, but she is too accessible, consistent. There should have been 4 transcend comments, not 8. Um, I agree that it's too strong. Obviously, your blues should not be reds, right? I do agree. However, if you limited the transcend cards to 4, then literally mathematically, depending on how long your games went, there would be like 35% of your games that you wouldn't have a hero ability, which is not good. That is not good design, right? You don't want people not having hero abilities half their game, right? Their hero effect and mask happening less often would have been better. I do agree with if it happened less, it would be a better experience. But looking at their side of the table, if they played a third of their games and never transcended versus Zen players playing 10% of their games not transcending, then it's a feels bad on their end. And we're trying to reach a balance, right? And we know why MST was pushed. We've talked about that a million times. New is incredibly overtuned when compared to other interactive decks. Her ability to attack your hand deck resources, she's about to get better. So I don't think she's that broken. Don't get me wrong. Is I think she's probably the best hero in the game right now. But it's because the aggro decks got neutered, right? Because before you could compete with new because all you had to do was have that one turn, right? That one turn where she didn't get you, or you used your armor the perfect way, or you had a snag, got a little bit of breathing room, played Artivore, do a bunch of damage, and then go back to playing her game. And that's like all you needed to stay in the game. But now there's no ceiling. So it's like, oh, great. She didn't disrupt me this turn. Let me do 13 damage. And it's kind of a fucking joke, to be honest. Um, so you is what it is. Here's being left behind is because they spend too much time hyper focusing on certain classes. Why are there 2 Ninja Assassin sets within 3 releases? That is you got me. I can't defend that one. I really can't. Because you had Illusionist almost back to back in Dust Till Dawn and MST with one set in between. You had Ninja and Assassin the same way. We haven't seen a Ranger in 2 years. I mean, you're not wrong. And the last time that this happened, Mech went like 3 years without getting a dedicated set or whatever, and then Bright Lights happened. And well, I'm gonna leave that one there. About to get better, but also hopefully leaving soon. I mean, that is true. Yeah. New is on her way out. Runeblade got Revel and Swarming. Runeblade got a lot more than that off of Everfest. They got Vexing Quillhand. They got Shrill. They got what else? Let me look through it real quick. That's 4 right there. Runic Reclamation. I mean, that's like 5 juiced cards, right? For their submisses, of course. Oh, Runeblood Incantation, like that. It's not like an all-star, but it plays some roles in some decks. Almost every class got like 5 to 6 good cards in Everfest. That set was cracked. But the interesting part was when it came out, everybody hated it. I don't know what it was. Man. As long as they aren't damaging your card, yeah. Have you seen the way players handle their stuff? Oh my gosh, did I in the right time talking about Brute? Yeah, we're just comparing like, you know, what they got in Everfest versus expansion slots, how long you would have to wait. Acilio Needs Love, he just came out. So does Betsy and Olympia. We're not even gonna get started on that one. They're not even heroes. If we're being 100% honest. Mastery Pack Warrior, like 20 cards, Bolton, 20 Olympia at least. I mean, Bolton's problem is they're scared of Lumina. I'm gonna keep it 100. +1 counter on winning a wager. I'll tell you, it's coming eventually. We'll see. Do you think the Hunted will flop in sales? My local LGS are not optimistic. I don't know. Um, I haven't even seen all the cards. What I can say is the 2 aggro decks, Syndra and Fang. They seem like they're gonna have some consistency issues. I'm very interested in to see how the rest of the cards kind of help solve those. But we can get into that later when we go over the cards. I think the biggest problem with New is she isn't the most fun to play against. I think that's the only problem with New. I think she's extremely fun to play. Just kind of feels a little annoying when you're playing against it. Evo as a set did not even power creep the common rare base most sets. Yeah, I think they just went all in on limited for Evo or bright lights. Simple as that. They like literally just said we're gonna make the best limited experience ever, and then gave us a couple majestics to play in CC. I think that was kind of the thought process there. A tinfoil hat theory for the hunted is they knew MST heroes would LL, so want to keep the influx of Japanese assassin ninja player. I think that's a little tinfoil hat, in my opinion. I think that they had no idea that the MST heroes were going to leave this quickly. Um, I mean, the balance has been so extreme, uh, such a rubber band going back and forth between balancing and recalibrating that there's no shot that it was even a probability that almost all three heroes would be gone by the release of that set. There's no way. Why is High Octane banned? If they were concerned about Dash.io, just ban it for her. They haven't done a ban for a specific hero yet, and I'm not sure that they want to open that door because it kind of causes a little bit of friction for newer players seeing cards be played, but they're not legal in certain decks. And then there's also multiple dashes, right? So you have, oh, it's legal in this dash, but not this dash. I'm not a fan of it either. I'm on their side on that one. But I agree, it was never an offender in normal dash, but she's almost gone anyway. If she can ever cross the line. Root's got a bunch of reprints in heavy. Yep, that's true. She's a blast play as long as you don't mind seeing your opponent's question in life. What do you think of the idea that it'll just be can you beat MST until they LL? I hate it. I mentioned it probably a few months ago that Rosetta was like my dream set. It was literally Briar in a box. I from a content perspective of a set, there should theoretically it should be my favorite set for the rest of my life. Like it was literally just tailored to exactly what I like. The card I looked at, I said, doesn't beat MST. Doesn't beat MST. Now, have they compete? Yes, right. This Rye has done the best that he can, and he is a viable choice. But Florian was just when Enigma's around, and a couple other things, it's not it. So I don't like that it's can you beat MST. Um, I actually despise the idea of it. And that's the problem of spiking the power for one set and then quickly tailoring back down is that's all that's relevant is that one spike. I understand why they did it. It was very important to launch into that market. It was actually a very great decision to do it the way that they did from a business perspective. Um, and probably might be a hot take. Probably the best way to do it for the game, for the overall health and enjoyment of the game. A lot of people are going to disagree and push back on that. I don't blame you. But if you try to look, take a step back, look at everything, a huge influx of players, increases the player base. Some people, you know, will quit, right? But like we gained a lot, and then a lot of people will just take a break, come back when it's over. So therefore, you never really lost those. And I think it's overall going to be a net increase in the player base, which is the main thing that matters. I like Rosetta Limited better. Me too, Shane. I agree. I agree. Syndra looks powerful. Fang looks pretty bad, and Arachne just looks fun. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into the cards. I really like that dagger attack action Arachne card. That thing is sick. Um, I think that's why break between releases after Hunted is so long. It gives a lot of room for MST to LL. It could be. It could be. I think the main problem with MST for me now is that blue needs a power creep. I only want to play 30-ish blue decks now. I mean, that's true, right? And that was my main point for the whole argument for kind of why aggro is dead, is because they can't run 30 blues. So they run the consistency problem of not drawing a blue while also blocking for shit when that does happen. And then the other person is just getting red value out of their blue cards, and it's kind of fucked. Hunted already done by the time they found out Zen was a problem. That as well. That as well. Before they played Zen with Bonds. I think the issue with the MST is how many polarizing matchups those heroes have into certain classes. I don't think Ninja's ever polarizing. I think the only polarizing thing about Zen is the chess piece. The ability to make Zen state kind of on the fly is very. It kind of imprisons people in certain matches like Viscerai, things like that, where it can really put you in a bad spot. And you just feel like you're kind of at their mercy most of the game. It's and then of course any illusionist is going to be polarizing. Period. Assassin, I think it's an exception for new, but I do agree. Most important thing of 2025 is CC Bard. That would be cool. Be cool. The Guardian is unplayable at the moment with new and Enigma around. That is true. That is true. So, what are some things that are on my list? Now that we're caught up in chat, I want LSS to take risk, like a lot of risk. I don't care if it doesn't go well. I just want a little bit of risk into the game. I don't necessarily mean in game design, but something to kind of, I don't know, revitalize a little bit, because we're kind of in that situation where we visited heavy hitters, right? And everybody was, fell in love with the game because it was that old back and forth that people just kind of fell in love with. But if you remember the tail end of heavy hitters, it got a little stale, right? And people started like kind of like just not having as much fun. They felt like they were playing spreadsheet simulator, right? And why would you play that when you could play Goat Sim? So basically, people from I don't have data to support this, just conversations I was having with people, they just were not enjoying the game as much toward the tail end of that season. And then MST came out, and then everybody was like, "Oh, this is like high powered, right?" And like people were excited again. It was no longer 2 for 8s all day, and we're starting to creep back into that 2 for 8 territory. The problem is that half of the 2 for 8 territory, it's very difficult to interact with, which is it's a very dangerous combination. It's one thing to do Wounded Bull, but to do Wounded Bull that like turns your hero power off or erase face and like other things. Um there I truly believe that aggro is in its current state is kind of dead in Flesh and Blood right now, and I really want to see it be revitalized. Not in the same. They don't need to redo the Zen problem. We don't need to revisit that. But I want to see them like take a little bit of risk in trying to inject the game with an appropriate amount of aggro that is one doesn't fold to 2 for 6s, right? Uh but is fun, it's explosive, right? Because chat, I want you to answer me a question. What is current explosive hero in the meta currently? Maybe Aurora, right? Is like the the only like hero that you would use the word explosive for. Enigma, no. New, no. You know, Viscerai in its current state, no. Zen in its current state, no. Vis is not explosive. This is block, make a couple rune chants, play something for free. I maybe it's a definition thing, but like I don't consider that um explosive. But like Aurora is the only thing that I would even consider to be explosive in Flesh and Blood right now. Which is important, right? And Marcus has a great point. I'd argue Aurora is in a healthy way. I do 100% agree with that. The problem is that because she is that way in a healthy way, she absolutely folds to disruption, in my opinion. I know there's a lot of good players that play that deck, but um, it is my opinion that that deck is not. I think there's better choices. I'll put it that way. I just don't understand running the risk of no blocks and the hand not doing the thing you want when you can just sit back and block and get the same value. Simple as that. I don't understand people taking the risk. And I got my PT London invite on Aurora, and um, I definitely. I mean, Kano's gone. That's explosive. You can't find him. Not even at the bottom tables. Nathan could back that up. There are no explosive decks. All the aggro decks playing a slower game in half the matchup. Sometimes they can draw a combo card. Yeah, like, but and the explosiveness isn't like Viscerai spending 15 turns to make 30 rune chance to throw a ninth blade. Yes, you're doing 40 damage in a turn, but that is not explosive. That is like people falling asleep at the wheel. That is what that is. Don't get me wrong. I love doing that. I love playing that way and things like that, but it is not explosive. Um so I don't know. I would like to see the reintroduction in a healthy competitive way, and maybe Syndra and Fang is the answer, right? Because on the surface they look like they block pretty good, to be honest. So maybe it's a block out, wait for the pieces and go, where basically the arsenal is like the primo situation in the deck. Like you arsenal important piece. It's kind of like doing little mini Lumina combos every game, like 3 or 4 times. And that would be cool, right? As long as it blocked kind of well and things like that. I'm down for it. I'm down for it. Fi is explosive with Salt the Wounds, but Fi is not in the meta, is the problem. um my original question was name one deck that's actually interacting in the meta that is explosive. If you watch one of my AGE stream game chats, you'll see how much equity you get into Aurora from just yeah, the frostbites, right? Even like a raised face or weakest link. My god, that card is so good. Holy shit. And she just folds, right? Like sure she has armor to get her out of one of them, but like the second one, oh my god, she's like paying off debt the rest of the game just to get over it. It's actually wild. Kano rocking you for 40 when you have him at 2. I mean, don't get me wrong. That's not the explosive I'm advocating for. That is toxic as shit. No offense to Kano players. That doesn't make anybody feel good, except for the Kano player. But I just want something like what was the last deck? I mean, Zen, obviously, but like that's an egregious offender. Kind of like Lexi, but not as bad. What was before Lexi as far as like I mean, it's kind of biased, but like Briar, there were some people that disliked Briar because they got High Road, CMH, Force of Nature, and like got OTK'd in one turn. But overall, Briar was explosive and the overwhelming majority of the population did not like absolutely despise her. Right. Um, so I don't know. I want Syndra to be good. Her look speaks to me, but we will see. She's looking pretty decent right now, actually. Syndra is simply better 5 because spreading flames actually gets a lot of value with the daggers. We'll see. We'll see if it fits the cost curve. People are scared of salt, just play tenacity. Yeah, but like once again, how do you know who's blocking and who's not? Because like half the heroes, you don't know what the hell they're doing. The new Command and Conquer on command card seems really good against mid-range defensive decks. We'll see if it's enough though. Um, you can pull almost 30 in Syndra with what has been shown if you full grip the dream. I mean, that's cool. Maybe the answer is right around the corner. Sam Sutherland game was horrible to watch. LOL in a good way. And that's what I mean. Like it's explosive. Like he's putting the pieces together and then boom, it's exciting. And then immediately they banned it, which was the right choice. Do not get me wrong. I'm not disagreeing with the Octane ban. It was 100% accurate. But man, um, I just want a little bit more explosiveness in Fab. That's the top thing in my wish list. Um, second thing, um, the OP program has made an amazing amount of improvement. Like way, way up there in improvement. Like we actually get plenty of notice for events now. They are doing a good job in presenting it where like they give us the snapshot of like the month, they the slideshow at the worlds and PT of like all the callings and battle hardens that are coming. All of that is absolutely fantastic. And I hope that they just keep improving that process as much as possible because they don't have to do something like add more money. That's not the problem. Keep the prize pool the same. Just improve on the processes, like making sure that the events, more events have coverage, right? Like that's some of the things that I think that they could drastically improve on. Um, like we had not, it's not always possible. Like for example, the Atlanta Battle Harden did not have any coverage. Now, when I walked in the room, I immediately figured out why that was the case, and it's because I honestly don't think there was room. There was I looked around that entire venue and I do not think there was a place Ethan could have set up his equipment. It was like that full because it was like whatever the Magic GP thing was, or whatever. I'm not familiar that much with Magic, so there's a lot of people there. So maybe it just was not logistically possible, and that happens, right? But um, people want to see the game. Um, as far as from a gameplay perspective, I want to see something a little different from limited. I'm not entirely sure what I want to see. I want to see some changes in sealed. Sealed the past couple sets. Basically, I'll break down Rosetta Sealed for you. Literally, we had the world premiere weekend, which means everybody played what, 5, 6 games, and then the next day was the calling. By the calling, so 6 games in half a day because the event started like kind of in the afternoon. Within 12 hours almost the entire room came to the conclusion that you should be playing Earth. And that 75% of those Earth players should be playing Florian. There has to be something fundamentally broken in the sealed format for people to come to that conclusion in 12 hours on a mass scale. There's like a fundamental flaw. Now, you have to look deeper into the fact that maybe they had to have that fundamental flaw to make draft as good as it was. And that's entirely possible. But if that's the case, is a calling that's 90% sealed the right thing to do? Right? Like that's an honest question that you have to ask yourself. And I know some people are going to say, but that's the way Magic's always done it, or that's the way, card games always do it. Who gives a shit, right? Just because people do it a certain way for 20 years doesn't necessarily mean it's the right way to do it. I want to see some innovation on sealed. Um, I'm I'm gonna come out and say it. I don't think I've thoroughly enjoyed a sealed format since heavy hitters. Been about a year since I've thoroughly enjoyed a sealed format. MST was okay, but I agree with draft only calling isn't possible because you would have to have so many judges. Holy shit! Just for a day one, I mean, 500 people sit down. There's 8 people to a table. You probably have to have what, a judge every 4 to 6 table. I mean, I understand the logistics of doing I understand that that is very difficult to do. And that's why maybe it needs to be something different. Maybe it um I don't know what the answer is. All I'm saying is that if in 12 hours a room of people can like overwhelmingly decide that the shit just ain't working, uh then it doesn't need to decide a competitive event. Just doesn't. Um does that mean you do like maybe you do team sealed, right? And you split the packs, and maybe that's a way to make a better balance within that set, and you do a team sealed calling because the sealed format invalidates the imbalance of the Earth heroes, which I think is actually true because I actually played team sealed Rosetta at the Min Max event, the LL calling. We just did it for fun, and Earth was not overpowered. if anything, Earth was actually a little underpowered. So maybe the format is fine. Maybe you just need to fix think outside the box and say, okay, let's do this calling, but let's do uh team sealed. And then let's get even more creative. And then like once you make it to day 2 or however you want to do it, maybe the teams break between day 1 and day 2 and then it just goes to a day 2 draft. Right? Why couldn't you do that? Right? You do you have to stick as a team the whole event? Not necessarily. It'd be cool if you did, like, that is one avenue that you could take, but if you really wanted to fit draft into the format, that is something that you know, you could do. So literally, to make the sealed format better, I think, my opinion, they could have recognized that the team sealed format did not have the fundamental flaws in Rosetta that the regular sealed format has, right? Uh, Gem code limitations, in my opinion, then hire somebody, right? I agree with what you're saying, Shane, but like hire a coder and like get a better gem. Like that's that can be fixed, right? Like it's easy. You could literally just break it, make a new event. Boom, done. Don't even have to hire a coder, just hire me. Done. You just literally take everybody that made day 2, you break it, cancel the event, start a new one. Done. 5 rounds in the top 8, and everybody just keeps their record, and then they combine the record, right? And then you obviously, you would have to do the math that carried over, right? There has to be some type of formula that you could just put in, and I don't know. There has to be a way. Obviously, you couldn't break the event because then it would forget, but maybe you could archive it, repull it, something out here. Um, I'm just saying people got to think outside the box. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that what I'm saying is the solution or if it's even possible. I'm just saying there's a better way, right? There's no reason that in 12 hours 90% of the room determines half of the set is borderline unplayable in a format. There's just we can't do that. We can't like it was actually it was actually a little depressing at the calling, sitting there watching people open their events or their packs, and they're like, "Yes, a cadaverous," and like they would feel relieved, and then somebody would be pissed off because they got a Gone in a Flash, right? Or they would be happy because it was worth something, but like pissed because they don't want to play it because they know it's bad. And at the highest level, is it as bad as I don't know, but if 90% of the room is coming to the conclusion that that is the case, then I think that's a very good data point because there was almost 1,000 people at that event. It was huge. It was massive. So I don't know what the answer is, but I just know that I want to see some improvement on the sealed format. Simple as that. You don't have to change the sealed format. Maybe you do. Maybe uh maybe we completely relook how we do sealed. I don't know. Make a new format. Bro, I'm telling you, there's just obviously all of this stuff takes time. It takes a lot of testing and it takes a lot of manpower. I get that there are limitations. But I don't know. Just throwing some ideas out there, you know. So, um, that's kind of the the idea that I have. So going into the sorry, one sec. Okay. Um sorry. Got distracted. So that's my idea for sealed. I just want to see a little innovation there. To kind of just, you know, shore it up a little bit. Draft, keep what you're doing. Do what you are doing. Rosetta was good. MST was as good as you could possibly make it with an illusionist in the set. So like they did amazing. Uh wait, so what were the things you wanted on your wish list? So first I wanted aggro to be revisited and explosiveness back into the game. I want sealed to, be revisited. I want the OP program to continue exactly what they are doing. And then I also want whatever the draft process is, keep it. Stay the same. Do what you're doing because it's working. I, as a player, historically have hated Flesh and Blood draft. From WTR to like Tails was kind of fun for me. But that's like bias thing, right? But like heavy hitters, MST is like where I started like thoroughly enjoying. Maybe Bright Lights. Maybe Bright Lights is where I like started like really enjoying draft. Like actively like wanting to participate. Not just having to do it because I'm a competitive player. So whatever they're doing for draft, like keep doing it. It's been such an amazing just pleasure to watch the evolution of it. Um, they've done such an amazing job on it. It's probably been done before in MTG. I can't recall when they've done it level calling, but I imagine like 2000s, late night. I mean, there's just got to be a solution. I don't know what it is, but just I don't know. We gotta get some brains in a room and figure it out. That's what they're there to do. I just want to see Briar star the show. Man, would that be something? That would be something. Um, the original Fab callings were draft only. The first calling Singapore was hybrid draft and yeah, like you could do it that way, right? Because this Memphis calling already says that they're willing to just start CC out the gate. Like the day it releases, there is a CC calling. That is wild. So just do half and half. Do um, CC day one because of logistic reasons, and then draft the second day. There's no reason you can't do that, especially if you know the sealed format is a little sus. So yeah, that's my current feedback on that. The MST situation, I would love a solution, but I think it's too close, too far gone. I think they have to kind of let Jesus take the wheel on that one and just let it handle itself. Um, the set was really good. I hope that they can get replacements out for that as quick. Thank you for mentioning it in chat. Let's talk about LL. Do I like the current LL system? Would you propose any changes? Is it a bit arbitrary, a bit popularity contest? I'm glad you brought this up because something about the LL system is felt a little off. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe they fixed it with like, if I'm not mistaken, they kind of like prorate the points a little bit now. So maybe that kind of helps it a little bit. Do they do that? I thought I read something to where they did that. Let me pull up the Living Legends system. I know they changed the points allocation every Thursday. I thought they okay, I guess they didn't. I know they had to change where basically in a season they say, "Okay, you get 1,000 points, have fun," and then they allocate it accordingly, as even as they possibly can. Which doesn't do anything. I think all that does is protection against bad math, in my opinion. Because instead of saying that there are X number of events and points allocated accordingly, well, I take that back. It does allow the unique situation of they only want this many points, but they're not throttled by the number of events. So say each event gave 2 points and they only wanted to give out 1,000 points, then they could only have 500 events. But under the new system, they could have 1,000 events and then just give everybody 1 point, and they could have as many events as they want, which is probably a good thing. So overall, the changes are probably okay, but overall, the LL system has kind of lost its the thematicness of like what it was when I first started playing the game. It could be the fact that I've been playing the game for 4 years now. But it I don't know. It's interesting. And I wish I could give more direct feedback, but just something about it, it doesn't feel. You mentioned a popularity contest. It kind of is, where most of the points are kind of distributed to, you know, during the RTN season and ProQuest season and things like that. Um, oh, so overall for LL, I think that the changes that they have made are improvements, but, I think a little bit more work could be done on it, but I wish I could give more direct feedback. I'm not entirely sure what it is, um, to be honest. One thing that I want to mention is I forgot again. Oh, I don't know what's happening. I had a thought. I was gonna get to it. I tried to circle back and it's gone. So we're gonna get back to it when it does come back. They're always changing LL points. Did I read something in chat that nope, it's gone. Never coming back. The point system or LL are off. They're always changing LL points gained according to yeah, I mean, it's maybe that's it. They keep changing it. It's like losing its significance because you don't know. Like this person has 800 points, but did they get those 800 points when the numbers were absolutely juiced? So therefore, in today's number, they would only have 200, or um, I don't know. I don't know. It feels weird that we're a few weeks away from RTN season and have no idea exactly how many LL points each event gives. I'm okay with them taking their time on it. Because I mean, I guess it could impact what you're gonna play, right? Do you start putting work into Fi if they say each event gives 4 points? Probably not, right? Because like you only get it for one weekend, maybe. I don't know. Fi got the short end of the stick. He's at 800 because he won Worlds. Yep, exactly. I mean, that's a good example, right? That is a great example. I had my next point. I'm trying to figure out what it was. Um oh, we could talk about this is not it, but we can talk about the player of the year. This discussion on the player of the year thing is going to be. I haven't looked terribly a lot into it, but I had somebody that loves to like just zoom in on this stuff and like really care about it. Um, Mentioned that last year you could have top aided both Pro Tours and won Worlds, and you would have not gotten Player of the Year, which is wild, like absolutely wild. Which means the points probably need to be revisited. Obviously, you can't revisit it mid-season, so that's going to have to wait until the season concludes. Because if you change it now, you could have situations where people travel to battle hardens that they otherwise would not have if they're like actively trying to compete for um that spot. So you definitely cannot change it until it concludes for the season. But I don't know. And we know how many points each RTN gives. 1,500 points for the season, 439 CC events. Nathan streams be like MST heroes. That's a question we gotta ask. Tier list. I'm consistent. That's what it is. I'm consistent. Um, One thing that I want to mention real quick. This is once again not the thing that I completely lost, and it's in just complete oblivion. I want to I want to mention just for a second one the past year. The This is very important to me. The past year, these streams have been what's the correct way to phrase it? I've been highly critical of the game. And when somebody's highly critical of something, it's very easy to tip over into something that has a negative connotation, right? And I just want to say that the thing I'm truly amazed, like actually amazed, by the fact that, to be frank, that LSS is giving me the opportunity to uh, do the broadcast for the Battle Harden in Memphis. And I mentioned it earlier that I'm super thankful for the opportunity, but I think it says a lot about LSS, like a ton, that replace me and put me in any other category, anything like that, right? You have somebody that could say some things that could be perceived as negative, and a company has the opportunity to interact with that person, right? And you have two choices being that company. You either not maybe not in a way like try to silence, but you have the opportunity to like either give them even more of a voice or maybe deny that opportunity. And they chose to give me that opportunity and approve me being, on the broadcast team, which I'm gonna be 100% honest. I never expected it. Mainly for that, I thought that I would never kind of get that opportunity because maybe I have been a critic a little too much. But the fact that they would do that speaks an immense amount of volume and the confidence that they have in their game. The fact that they would literally give a voice to somebody that is critical of the game. I think that that is just I think it speaks volumes of the company. And to be honest, when I got that news, um, it was like levels of like when I first joined the game, and like I was just warped into that whole, you know, James is all about the players and kind of, just all in on just, you know, making a great game, not answering to shareholders. Like I was all about that. When I got that news, and I was like, you know, I was just blown away, to be frank. I just wanted to say that for a second because I thought that maybe my trend of critiquing the game would kind of prevent opportunities like that. But I'm glad that they did not, and they in fact gave me the opportunity to do that. So I'm thankful for that opportunity, and I will do my absolute best to make sure it's not wasted. I'm just impressed by the company overall. Have that kind of confidence. I really do appreciate it. So that is kind. I like the idea of incentivizing players to go to as many events as possible, but I agree that the points are too low for doing well at a big event. Yeah, like, and I'm just going to use the example. Like, you have Brody and Michael that just, I mean, they go to all the battle hardens, and don't get me wrong, that is great for the game, right? They're super well known players. They're amazing people, right? Brody is so friendly. Michael is literally an ambassador for the game, right? Like, just both of them are so much of a net positive on the game every time they walk in the door. And the fact that they walk into the door a lot is such a great thing for the because then you get, imagine you're like a new player and you go to the battle hardened and you're like round one, Michael Fang, like that has to be like a surreal feeling, right? You're playing against Michael, right? Like, I mean, that's like playing with the big dogs. Like, that's got to be good for the game. Everybody having those experiences, and it's just the cherry on top when they're just the nicest people on the planet, right? Um, so it's very important to incentivize, just like uh, Aggro said, it's very important to incentivize those people to travel. Now, I'm not saying that Brody and Michael would not go if the player of the year thing didn't exist because they were going before. They've for as long as I've known, they've just gone to everything. They've just been grinding. Like it they've been killing it. And so but maybe there's somebody that was not doing it on their level, but maybe is to kind of start, right? Because of that incentive. And that's very, very, very important to do so, because maybe that's how we get the next Michael and Brody, right? Is by they got the incentive to grind all the battle hardens, they take down one, two, three of them, and then boom, their name's out there. And then we get another ambassador for the game, and like that's just a good thing for the game. It does feel pretty exclusive for players from the US and Europe though, to be honest. Um I mean, it doesn't, right? Because isn't it player of the year for each region, right? So if you're a US player, you're only competing with people, well, I think it's North America technically. So you're competing in that region or whatever. And then you have Europe and then um Asia if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. Agree. I'm in Australia and planning on traveling later this year. Would love to go to events just for fun. Hard to plan. But I mean, like I said, I'm 90% sure it's regional. Therefore, you're only competing with people that are exactly in your spot. And if you're just in a situation where you don't have the opportunity to travel, that's just it, right? They can't Um, yeah, I'm from Australia and just had my honeymoon through Europe. It costs like 20. Oof. I mean, 6 weeks. That's pretty good. It is regional. Okay. However, to my earlier point, the details of the event is rather last minute. That's fair. They're getting a lot better on it. Latin America competes with North America. That is not fair. I am 100% on board with you there. Um, we need calling Brazil win. Just saying. Uh, that would be cool. But yeah, I 100% agree there. Right. Because obviously longer travel distance and stuff like that. So you are basically the US region is going to go to a Canadian player or a US player. Like it just logistically has to, and I understand your point and 100% agree. But the rest of the world, like, if Hong Kong competes with Australia and New Zealand, yes, it's harder for because of geography, it's harder for them to travel just because, they're kind of farther away. It's kind of just being a part of being in the southern hemisphere, I guess. What do you guys think about the Brazilian players? They are some of the best people I have seen in Flesh and Blood. Not only in skill, but just friendly. I have coached several Brazilian players. I I think that community is one of the fastest growing and best communities in the game. Yeah, Australia and New Zealand can't compete with C. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, Southeast Asia is that's fair. The Southern Hemisphere debuff, yeah. That is a problem. But yeah, we love the Brazilian players. What's your advice on facing people that high of a level if it's not available locally? Um, I'm assuming you're talking about like playing high level people, but you don't get reps into high level people, so therefore you're kind of a fish out of water when it happens. And the best thing that I would recommend is the best way joining a team is one of the most beneficial things that you could possibly do. And maybe if it's not a team, it's just network, right? Like what's a good example? Back when Ponkage, Ethnic Smoke played Icelander, right? I talked to him at an event a couple times. I messaged him on Discord about like, "Hey, I would love some Icelander reps." And he was more than happy to help me. We played anytime he needed like Briar reps, I was there for him. And so as long as you network and make sure that the things are mutually beneficial, that's the most important part, is that they're mutually beneficial. Then like it's the best way to go about it, and then you just build a network. You don't have to be on a team. There's this it I take that back. It's easier if you're on a team, but if you're not on a team, I'm telling you, the best thing you can do is network. Uh, and once you do that, now granted, it's easier to network the more people know your name, which means it usually helps if you have a jumping off point, right? You do really good in an event, you get in a couple YouTube videos, things like that. It helps, right? But it's not always necessary, right? The way I became a card guy was I kept whooping their ass is what happened. I played against them and just kept winning. And they were like, "Well, we can't beat him, so we'll just sign him." No, that's not exactly what happened, but man, I was tearing them up. I'm telling you. They every time I walked in the locals, they just flinched. No, it wasn't that bad, but um, that's just that's That's the best advice I could give is networking with other players. Um, and if you don't have the name behind you, then literally the way you have the conversation says it all, right? For example, if somebody sent me a message and said, um, "When do you know to block and not block?" Like that question, if somebody was to ask me that exact question, it kind of indirectly tells me one, it's a kind of a bad question because there's no context, right? They're basically just asking for like a whole philosophical discussion on blocking, right? Whereas if you walked in, if somebody sent me a message and said, "This is the game state. Do you block or let it hit or let the CNC through?" I'd be like, "Okay," I'd let it hit. Boom, right? Like they have put in so much effort to develop the question. I feel obligated to help. Would kind of be the example that I'm trying to give. So if you do your homework and as you are networking, you are presenting like logical, thought out things that proves that you're like looking at the game in a very competitive manner, it'll be easy to network. It's the best advice I can give you. Will you and the guys come to Brazil to our calling? Is there one scheduled? I thought it was just a battle harden. If there was one, I would be highly tempted. That is for sure. I don't think there's one in the books currently, right? That would be insane, though. I'm looking through the list right now. Yeah, I don't see it. But if they did have one, that would be sick. Time for a deep dive video on. Oh, okay. Also, I owe the chat an explanation. Okay. It's actually it's actually fucking hilarious. Okay, so everybody knows, well, not everybody, but some people know that I created a series a few months ago called Learning Curves. Um, okay, there is a calling in March. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make that one in March. Follow. Probably. I'll have to get back to you on that one. Um, so Learning Curves. I did 2 episodes and got really busy. If I'm being 100% honest, I get this notification on Twitter like a month and a half, 2 months after the last episode that I made. And it was like, when is the next episode coming out? And I read that message and I go, oh shit. I forgot that that was the thing. That's the danger in taking breaks, is if the break is too long, you forget what you were doing. So that single person that added me on Twitter literally saved the series because I would have never done one. I completely forgot about it. So, and then they messaged again after I was like, oh, after Thanksgiving, I'll probably be able to do it. And then PoE came out. So that didn't get done. But next week, I'm going to record episode 3 and get that back rolling. It is not going to be at the frequency that I originally planned on like a bi-weekly thing. I'm not going to be able to do it. My new goal is like one a month kind of situation where we record one. So I'm just letting everybody know that series will be back on the tracks um, next week. So thank you for anybody that was. The next episode is going to be on deck building, ratios, things like that. Just in case anybody's looking forward to it. Probably a good thing to watch before the new set comes out. Hey, just saying. I'm from Ecuador. I'm going to Memphis. I see a lot more people from getting involved. I test with a lot of people from USA, even being in the league that means nothing helps. Absolutely. See, that is a great way to network. Amazing way to network, right? Um, there's a ton of amazing players in the league that means nothing. And if you were to match into one, like I'll give you an example. You play Shamir, that's on like Team Sigil, right? And maybe you have like this really intense game, you play super well. You just reach out to Shamir, have a question, something like that. And like um, you know, from there, who knows? I'm just giving an example. Please don't send a bajillion messages to Shamir. But I'm just saying there are a ton of very high caliber players that are playing in that league that you could be matched into, show them what you got, communicate, network. That's how it's done. And then before you know it, you have like a Rolodex of like each hero. Oh, Icelander. Okay, call Punkage. New, call Punkage. Uh, I need Viscerai reps. Call John. Just whatever. And like you have like a person for every single thing. Um, and yeah, just lean on those people. Those people lean on you. Easy. Um, yes, you're right. Message Samir right now. Please don't spam him. Please don't spam. Unless it's nothing but love, then send it his way. Um, yeah, so that's kind of what is on my wish list. We're gonna conclude that portion, and then we will get into the spoilers. Let's go ahead and talk about those. Uh, we have some new ones that are definitely worth talking about. That is for sure. We're gonna go to spoilers, and we are going to talk about not all of them. We are going to talk about all of the new ones, and like maybe in context of the other cards if they're extremely applicable. But if you missed the last stream, I went over what was released then. So we're just going to go over what has changed. Just to give a little bit of context, the thing that we left with last time was the stances in Fang were dog shit, and we didn't know how to mark people. That was the synopsis of the last stream, basically. And so now we're gonna go over the new stuff. We went over all the transformations, how good they were. I thought the trapdoor was actually like sleeper, maybe the best one. Um, and then this is a new one. Obviously, it's the legendary assassin head equipment, which is competing with Mask of Perdition, which is just mill a card basically, and you can buy it back, of course, but it's a little lackluster. So this is definitely going to be an upgrade for sure. When this defends, become a random agent of chaos. If the attacking hero is marked, instead choose the agent of chaos. Okay, which is pretty good. Uh, just the fact that you have so I'm just going to using my favorite transformation. I'm going to give you an example. There could be a situation where you drastically need a D-react in a certain situation, because there maybe you have a card in your hand you don't want to block with, right? And you can block with this and say, okay, I don't want to give him a card, but I need to block 5. So you block with this, go into trapdoor, search your deck for a trap, boom, block with it. That is super strong. That is almost. I know a lot of people are gonna be like, "Oh, Traverse 2.0." It's like Traverse 1.5, or point 0.5 even. It's not even as good as Traverse, because of this line right here. They have to be marked, um, which basically means that if we go back to the hero ability, At the beginning of your end phase, if your opponent is marked, you become a random agent of chaos. So typically, from what we've seen, you're going to be marking them on offense during your turn. So then you become a random agent of chaos, right? And then you are blocking with this to become a different one. So basically, if you mark them offensively, you are not getting a and I'm assuming you can't double, right? You can't like become trapdoor and then go block with it and then become trapdoor again. I think you have to actually transition. Or you can't become what you've already became. Is that the correct syntax? um but what you can do is, let's say you become a random agent of chaos, but you draw a hand and it's like, God, I wish I was the Black Widow instead of the funnel web. This is how you do it. This is the way. This is the balance of chaos, is what this is. In a deck where everything is random, this is what keeps you grounded. It can be used very aggressively to force a certain agent in a situation. Uh, there's so many different ways that you could do it. So, very impressed with this card. It's not traverse level, but it is very good. I really like this card. This might be my favorite card in the set so far, and it's so simple. But just the fact that they have opened up the design space to make attack action cards, weapon attacks, just it blew my mind. I was like, was that possible? Is that a thing? So and you might be asking, why the fuck does this matter? Well, if we go to this card, you now get both modes on something that like actually fucking matters, right? And obviously this card, has application in a lot of different ways, but I love this card. I don't know what it is. So simple. There's nothing like amazing about it, but the fact that they branched into this territory, hats off. Hats off. I'm very impressed by the design team on this one. How something so simple could be so significant. Very well done. They did attack actions as weapon already with Ranger. Their arrows? Okay, you got me. But I guess this one, it you don't have to have daggers to use it, right? Like it's not dependent on another thing. It's just its own thing where it just gives extra benefits for no reason. Whereas being an arrow is a hindrance, right? Like technically being a arrow is a nerf to a card, right? Because you have to load it in the arsenal and you have to shoot it, right? It is a nerf to the card technically, which is why all of the arrows are typically above rate. This is nothing but a buff. Like nothing but a buff. So I guess yes, you are right, but it's like it's insane. Oh, and you can flick it? Oh my god. Oh, this card's sick. I I love this card. This might be the card that makes me play Assassin. Something that simple. A 0 for 3 that blocks 3. Make me play Assassin. Slow down. All right, take up the mantle. 0 cost yellow, block 3, attack reaction assassin. Target attack action with stealth. It's +2. If it's attacking a marked hero, once again, we do not understand the opportunity cost of getting a hero marked. Do not know that yet. Instead, it gets +3. So it gets an extra 1, and you may banish an attack action card with stealth from your graveyard. If you do, the target becomes a copy of the banished card. Okay, so it's like an Azuri swap, but instead of playing a new card, you're swapping it with a card in your graveyard to change the on hit. I think this card's good. You so basically it gives you the opportunity to play a card that they would not block, swap it into a card they would want to block, but then too late, and it buffs it by 2 or 3, which both numbers are good because that would take it to 5 or 6. So if they no block, a 0 for 4 D react does not get them out of the water. So I think this card is good, and the fact that it's a yellow, box 3. I don't know if it's an instant 3 of, but like it, I think that this card will see play. I get what you're saying. Just thought I mentioned it. Yeah. Toxicity and Spike with Blood Rot are both powerful when mixed with an attack. You can technically flick. Yeah. It's affected by frailty. That's insane. Your codex is now. We already went over this one, so I'm not going to go over it again. And we kind of went over it a second time. 9 bonds in my assassin deck now between this codex of frailty. I mean, it's kind of good. Kind of good. Okay. Each opposing hero and ally that has dealt damage to you this turn loses 1 life. No block, blue, 0 cost. I think that card's mid and a half. So hear me out. Where my brain just straight up goes, like obviously you can go get it with trapdoor. But I think if you're doing that, that's not exactly what you want to be grabbing. I'd rather just get like a trap that blocks, right? If you are utilizing trapdoor, because it is a trap. And like as far as the end cycle, like, oh, you're really late in the game, you reckless swing them, yada yada yada. The problem is, imagine if like reckless swing had the text you had to take damage. Like, how many in-game states are not super close to where like this card sucks if you're at 1 life. Like you literally can't play it. It doesn't do anything. Because you can't take the damage and survive. Now, the ally text is probably the important part. So, if there's ever something that creates allies that have 1 life, then this will be like a sideboard card, and you'll bring it in to kill those. Which, to be honest, I think this set or this card might be what's pointing us toward the next set. I think we might be getting something that creates allies. It's reckless swing, but you have to take damage. That's the problem. Yeah, like they mentioned in chat, like against Dromai or something like that. Like maybe that's where this comes in. Which is good, right? If that is the case, if that is the evolution of decision, because nothing irked me more than getting Jagged Edge 2 sets after Enigma came out. Oh, that irked the shit out of me. I understand like maybe they needed it for limited or whatever the case may be, but damn, like he literally for a whole year just ruined Warrior. Uh, Not saying that that card's gonna fix it, but man, it'd be better. It'd be a lot better. Here we have a standard 0 for 3 stealth that is not a dagger attack, so it's not as cool. When this attacks a hero, you may have target dagger you control. Deal 1 damage to them. If damage is dealt this way, the dagger is hit, which means you can utilize it on Kiss of Death, which means they lose 2 life. instantly in a non-interactable way, which is really good. Really, really good. Well, that interaction is good. I don't know if the card is good. We're going to have to determine how many of these dagger attacks there are, how much flicking you can actually do, things like that. And we're missing what, 2 cards. This is a weapon more than likely, and then this is another majestic. So that's what we're missing out of the assassin pool up top. And then we have a couple. We have 2 rare cycles. Which I'm assuming are probably more stealth cards. I had to guess because you have stealth cards on both sides. Well, actually, you don't. This is not a stealth card. So this could be anything. This could be a reaction set. It could be anything. Who knows? These were limited cards. We already discussed those. We don't know what this is. We already went over that one. Reaper's Call. I don't know if discarding an entire card is worth marking an opponent. However, this is the type of card that I think the blue one might be played, because in a situation where you actually take tempo, this is the type of card you really, really want. So I love this card in blue. I do not like the other color. I do not like the other color. This card is actually my favorite art in the set. I love this art. What is up? Good to see you, Prodigy. I guess Prism is a little explosive right now because you're just chunking sevens at you. That's a fair analysis. But this one is 2 sides of the blade, 1 cost, very important. Target dagger gets +3. We only get 1. It does not have the text of choose 1 or both, like the tarantula toxin, unfortunately. Um. Also, it says target dagger attack. So if you buff this by 3 and you flick it, does it do 6? Surely not. It's just the attack, not the card. This attacks a hero. Target dagger you control, which you do control it if it's on the combat chain. Deal 1 damage to them. Oh, this just says deal 1 damage. Okay. Sure. Never mind. Going back to this. Target attack action with stealth gets +3 when this hits a hero. Mark them. Okay, so it's just versatile. It can be used on a dagger. It can be used on an attack action. Seems fine. Yeah, I didn't think it worked that way. Yeah, Flick just says dagger deals 1. Yep. That would be insane if you could just flick it until 6. That'd be wild. That would be wild. Yeah, that would be insane. The on hit's already too good. So I think this is just good versatility. The question is, I don't know, because you have so many, because a lot of these hero abilities you just discard and get +3 on a stealth card is kind of overlapping text with these reactions. So basically, any assassin card can fit this role, but this one marks, which might be important enough to just run it. Simple as that, because it marks. Once again, we do not understand the opportunity cost nor the benefit truly when marking players. We went over Blood Runs Deep. We went over the pummel to go again. Ignite, we did not go over. 0 cost to go again. When this attacks an extra card, you put. Oh, we did go over that. Yeah, we went over that one. Wrath of Retribution, legendary. Okay, already do not like the card. I do not like the idea of one-ups, um, especially if they're super impactful. Straight off the rip, already kinda down on this card. 3 costs, so it's obviously gonna be discounted in some way, 3/3. It costs 1 less for each draconic chain link, so assuming it's free, it'd be a 0 free, block 3, go again. When this attacks, daggers you control get +1 and cost 1 less to activate. So, uh, you have to achieve 3 draconic combat chain links. I say that 3 times in a row. 3 draconic chain links before you utilize your daggers, which means you have to have an metric ton of just draconic go again in your deck to play this card. There are going to be some players that put this card in Arsenal and it's going to be there so long they're going to charge it rent. I'm telling you. I am telling you. It's good. Don't get me wrong. It is a nutso card. If you have the 3 draconic chain links without using your dagger, it's insane. But people gonna be praying for CNCs after they arsenal this shit. You hit with a dagger and you flick it, they return it. Use this card, hit with daggers. Okay, but you can only flick one that go and then you so you also you can only bring back the ones that are in the grave because you need the chain links to stay there. You cannot break the chain. So if you attack with one, you can't put it in the bin and get a new one. So flicking is the only way to give it to do that. But yes, that is a way to get one chain link. So you need 2 natural go again sources, which may not be that difficult depending on deck construction, but it's just some if you have this in your deck, you need to be mindful of the go again ratios and whatnot. Limited bomb, I agree, Shane. 100%. Cinderclaw, Rabble. How about 3 block sink blow? Got him. Bro, I'm telling you, just block. Just block, guys. Until MST's gone, just block. It's that easy. You want to win the game? Just block. Okay. Burning Blade Dance. If you control 2 or more draconic chain links, this gets go again. 0/3/3 again. When this hits a hero, you may have target dagger you control deal 1 damage to them. Okay, so controlling the dagger once again either means sitting back or on the active chain link. If damage is dealt this way, the dagger is hit and destroy the dagger. Seems solid. Just block. What happens if they have a mirror guy? Well, that's why you play your own mirror guy. Oh, that's true. It counts itself. Duh. You're right. Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, so dagger, then 1 go again, and then this counts itself, so it's good. Actually, if you want it to be truly free, it will not count itself because you have to pay the cost before this is recognized under your control. So, yes, it counts itself to fulfill this requirement. Well, you don't even need. Yeah, so this has nothing to do with how many chain links you have. It's just this effect. So no, it does not count itself if you don't want to pay for it because you have to pay the cost before you control it. So therefore, you would have go again attack dagger. You play this, it costs 1. That is how the ruling should be on that card. It does not count itself for that part. Devotion Never Dies. Very interesting card. 1 for 4. Go against. We got leg tap stat lines. When this hits, if a draconic attack was the last attack this combat chain, banish this. If you do, you may play it this turn. This is going to be, I think, just the floor on this card, like a 1 for 4 go again, is like spinning will kick, right? Like it's not that bad. But the upside of it, the only thing that sucks about this card is it's missing a word, and that is draconic. That is the only thing bad about this card. Can't you dagger, flick, dagger for 7 damage for free? What are you saying? Prodigy. How are you paying for the daggers? You're gonna dagger. You gotta pay for that shit. I mean, sure, it's a 2-card 10 if you do it that way. Am I missing? Am I missing something? But yeah, like, so I don't get lost in this card. I'm not like, oh, it's a hurricane kick. It's coming back. It's coming back. Double, triple strike. No, I'm not like getting lost in it. I'm looking at this card and saying it has an okay stat line from the get go. 1 for 4, go again. Boom. Consistency. And then it has like a huge bonus effect when it's relevant. So this card is going to be complete ass into decks that want to block you. But in the aggro mirror, is like, this is what you want to be doing. This is like engulfing flame wave tech for the fire mirror. The fire mirror. That's what this is. Or blue snatch. That was the heat back in the day. Wrath of Retribution, active, dagger, flick, Syndra, dagger? The fuck are y'all saying? You're missing that daggers are free after attack. Yeah, after. That's the problem. So if you, how are you getting to chain link 3? That means you have to pay for the dagger. Am I hold up, chat. You could just blue pitch start with. Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying just pay for the bitch. Okay. But then it's like a legendary 2-card 10. Okay, fine. I mean, sure. It's solid. I guess it blocks 3. 2-card 10. Yeah. All right. I'm on board. Just pitch blue. That's the part I was missing. I thought you guys were trying to get it for free. And I was like, hold up. It's gonna check before. Okay. You guys convinced me. Good card. Which, I mean, let's be honest, we knew it was good when it said legendary. But better than my initial impression. But love this card, but don't get lost in the sauce. Look at this as like the cherry on top, not the reason to play it. This card is like mid and a half. When you attack for the 4th time during a turn, which is easy in these decks, you may destroy this if you do draw a card. At the beginning of your end phase, if you've attacked less than 3 times, destroy this. The problem is this doesn't have go against, so you're ending your turn playing a card to draw a card at a later date. So all you're doing is shifting card economy, which normally is not bad in the game of Flesh and Blood, but the problem is you have to get to your 4th attack before you draw this random ass card that may not even be playable in the context of that then situation. Whereas if you drew like a random card off the top at the beginning of your turn, it's like, okay, I know what to do. I'm going to do this line to maximize it. But no, you're like going through 75% of your turn and then ripping a card, and you're like, blue card for one. Like, it's a little weird. Vero told me to come in here and say roll tide whenever you're streaming. Roll tide. I don't give a piss about nothing but the tide. What is up? We make best. Which one of these decks are you going to get banned next? Let me know. Let me be ahead of the curve. I like it because it's a blue block 3. I mean, Ninja has about 24 of these. You don't have to play this one. That's for sure. Ask Ira about blue 3 blocks. We already talked about all these. Dragon Power, sick art. First off, 1 for 3. So basically, we're losing the go again on the leg tap stat line to gain the block when this attacks. If it is draconic, it gets +3. This is like fancy Key Unleashed, basically. It blocks 3. I like that it blocks 3. I don't know how consistently we're getting Fealty tokens. Because I will admit it makes the daggers a lot more threatening because it's very difficult to block the daggers if you mark. The problem is you can't look at this card and it's like a 1 cost 7, right? Because you have to factor in the cost at which you paid to mark your opponent, right? Because that's where you're getting the fealty to actively get that bonus. Unless you brand with Cinderclaw and then you're just the better player, right? You brand with Cinderclaw, Tunic counter this, I'm quitting the game. I'm literally quitting the game. That is disgusting. Ugh, I just threw up a little bit. Brand, Tunic counter, Dragon Power. Print deck list. Done. Holy shit. Damn. Sheesh. All right, guys, maybe we don't just block. Maybe we like block and do some stuff. Just saying. We got options. All right. Tag the target. When this hits a hero, mark him. Head jab. Okay. In the current meta, this is dog shit, right? Because everybody's wanting to block. Everybody has 3 blocks. It is not doing it. It ain't it. Fi also uses this. Does he? If it's how is Fi making things draconic? Am I missing something? I mean, I know. Well, he runs brand. I guess that's what you're saying. Is Fi runs literally like what 7 brands, 8 brands. So it's very easy. Yeah, of course. I'm not the only one that looks at this set and thinks, "What cards did Fi get?" and ignore everything else in this set. That's fair. That's fair. But you are probably the only one. When this is a hero market, yeah, like I said, in a very defensive meta, I don't think Ninja's gonna have the reactions to really force this. It's not draconic, but it helps something else become draconic. I think this is a very meta dependent card, is the way I look at it. It does force interaction though, which maybe is just what Syndra needs. Like Syndra just maybe her game plan is she just needs her opponent to give her some cards. Maybe I don't know. Let's see. All right, so now we're getting into Bang. Okay, now we left off last time on a very low note with these 3 cards. Boy, These things are piles. Shit. These three. But let's see if we can salvage a little bit. Okay. Hunt's End. Love the art, first of all. I don't know who is in charge of art lately. Like, whoever it is, clip this, send it to them. But they have been killing it. I mean, just just wild. Like this is my favorite one of the set. But like, it's so simple, but man, look at that table. The detail on that shit. Oh my god, it looks so good. Whoever's doing the art these past like ever since like Outsiders and beyond, if they've changed up anything, or maybe it's the same people. I don't know. I don't do all the art names and stuff like that. But man, whoever's doing it, keep doing your thing. Just been killing it. Okay. Hunt's End. Play this only if you control 3 or more. So basically, it coincides with the hero ability, which straight off the bat tells us it probably involves something with daggers. Target dagger gets +4. Who knew? Yep. So basically, costs 1 less if you have more than 3 fealties. So this is basically just, you know. The one problem is this is a very high risk card because it's literally not playable unless you have 3 tokens. Now it's hella good when you have 3 tokens. But man, like, and the fact that it's already draconic, so it's going you don't have to use one of the counters to give this go again and +1. Very, very strong card. However, this is like you thought you thought like Revel and Runeblood was bricky. This right here. We already went over this one. Really good card, but we already went over. Affirm loyalty. Man, see what I mean? This art. Who is this? Give me this hero. Boy, Josh, this looks like a warrior that could win a game. Who is this? Target dagger gets +2. If you control 2 or more draconic chain links, create a token. I'm assuming straight off the bat, this is pretty good. Right off the bat, it's draconic, boom, turns on the dagger. Check mark. Right? Second, helps the engine. Both of these draconic heroes should be viewed as thermodynamic problems. You have all thermo is energy comes out, energy has to leave in some fashion, right? And if you have an exhaust problem, if too much comes in and not enough goes out, all you have to do is balance your fealty generation and then what is consuming it. And you also have the synergy with the daggers, which makes getting the on hits a lot easier. But once again, we have not seen anything mark in other than this so far in the warrior cards. So that's my only little point of concern. But overall, this seems really strong. Turns on the dagger automatically because it's draconic, which saves you a token, and then also creates one, which from a thermo perspective, really good. Revel does block 2. This blocks 3. Yeah, but like Revel's also a better card. Let's be fair. Endeavor Devotion, I think we went over same situation here, except it's controls 2 or more. It's the exact same text, but it's a 1 cost and pumps by 3 instead of 0 for 2. So depending on, I'm not saying that this one's a bomb just like this one is, but it just depends on the curve. I at the end of the deck build, if you can fit in 1 cost, this card will be pretty good. If not, maybe mid. We need this mantra person. So that's what we need. We already went. Oh, we have our spoiler that we had on our channel. Shout out to Josh and all the hard work on the video. All of it was him. It was his idea. Also, well, I guess we had a little bit of feedback on like the original version didn't have voices, and we decided to make Tory British, or Josh did. But yeah, like 99% of it was Josh. He killed it. It was a really funny video. I died laughing watching it. But overall, like it's really good. It's gonna be super important in the mirror. It's gonna be super important if you're playing either one of these. Um, I thought it was gonna be good against Runeblade, but Runeblade's attack pattern tendencies no longer. We're not going mob shrill swing, right? It's not the pattern, so this is not as good. Half the time, most games we don't even use the weapon, so it really just depends. Sharpened Senses, yellow warrior card, already bad. Done. Don't even have to read it. Yellow warrior, bad card. I'm just kidding. Twinning blade exists. Your weapon attack gets +1. Let's go again. It's an aura block 3. Your weapon attacks, all of them, +1. So it's basically the same text as this guy. If their attack is greater than twice their base. So if the daggers are 1, you have to get to 3 because you have to get greater than twice. They get go again. Okay. So okay, so this card replaces the need for this card if you have this card with it. Because you can play this card and this card. They both go to 3. You now have go again. So you can actually go Sharpen Senses, Power Stance, Flurry Stance, all go again. Daggers coming for 3. Maybe they're free. Swing 4 times for 12. So if hero ability is turned on, this card, this card, this card is a 3 card 12. Right? Because you're going 3, 3, 3, 3. Not including what you actually draw on the following turn. Interesting. Also has synergies with this, like mentioned in chat. Oh. I'm still not a fan of the stances, but this makes it make more sense. Not good sense, but more sense. Like, this is a nice play to go power stance, flurry stance, sharpen senses. Like, that's a good play. 3 card 12. That means you got 4 value per card. The problem is for that math to happen, you have to have exactly all 3 of those in one single turn, and you have to have 3 tokens. And then you also have to keep the tokens, which means you have to play a draconic card to keep the token. Where is it? Where is the token? Yeah. Here you are. At the beginning of your end phase, if you haven't created a token or played a draconic card this turn. Okay. So you have to have a draconic card along with go again. Actually, it doesn't have to go again because these have go again. So just boom, 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 draconic card pass. You keep your tokens. You have the check mark, and boom, next turn daggers are free. Or you can block your whole hand out and go. This seems like a way to pick on decks that can't utilize tempo. It's interesting. I don't know if it's good, but like I see why it's there. Yeah, Oath of Steel. We went over that the last stream, but I don't know if it interesting. Interesting here. I was so down on these cards. Like so down on these cards. But because there's one card that combines two of the cards, they become okay. But if you're running a deck, this is a blue, so there's literally zero opportunity costs here. Your only opportunity cost is these two. So you're running 6 cards that block 3. I mean, how bad? Maybe. We're going to revisit this when we see these cards. They could be very impactful to the, what are we going to call it? The stance dancing strategy. So I feel like we're missing a piece, like mentioned in chat. There's got to be something in this slot, or maybe this slot that's going to support this, because it feels unfinished. It feels close but unfinished. So we'll reevaluate that on the next stream. But we're getting there. It started from this is completely useless and terrible to okay, they're cooking. They're cooking. Now, do they burn, or do we have ourselves a meal? Sworn Vengeance, 0 cost, 3 block, like 90% of the other warrior cards. Your next dagger attack this turn gets +3. When it hits a hero, mark 'em. I think this card's phenomenal. It gives the dagger a breakpoint. Um, Also, if you have a so to keep, if you have it created a token, okay. So when this hits a hero, mark them. I am assuming that the attack that hits and marks does not trigger the hero ability, because when the hero was hit, they were not marked. So therefore, there has to be, you have to weave some. Where my mind went was, if you're holding 3 tokens, this can be a 0 for 4, because you can, the daggers are free due to the hero ability, right? And you can just go boom into dagger and try to mark them. With just like a 1 card 0 for 4, or 2 card 7, whatever. Okay, with a breakpoint. The problem with that situation is you have to also hold a D react, or an attack reaction, which is not the end of the world, because a lot of them are 0 cost, and you can simply play that to maintain. So it does force the play into a 2 card play, not a 1 card play. So I really like this in red. And I think it gets drastically worse the more you get, because I think this is just trying to give the dagger a break. I mean, maybe the yellow is playable because you can get the dagger to get +1 and keep it at 4. Seems a little sus though, to be honest. But like solid, solid. Oath of Loyalty. I think we already went over. Yeah, already went over this one. We did not go over this one. Loyalty Beyond the Grave, 0 cost, defense reaction, draconic, 3 block. While this is in your graveyard, at the start of your turn, you may banish 2 cards named this card from your graveyard. If you do, draw a card. Okay, so you're running 3 cards that, let's be honest, suck, right? You're running 3 bad cards to where, in a game state where you are playing the third one, you get a free card. This is a hot take, but I think this card's bad. Like I think this is a trap. Um, this I think this is a trap. I think that um while this is in your graveyard at the start of your turn. Oh, you only have to block with 2. This is busted. Holy shit. I thought it was on resolution of the 3rd. Oh, this is a lot better. This is good. Yeah, we play this. No, this is good. We make best. We were wrong. We were wrong. It says while this is in your graveyard, it's a graveyard trigger. Yeah, you only need 2. So it's actually a good card because we'll have to do like the hypergeometric calculations, but like it's pretty normal to see a 2 of 3 in a game that lasts, you know, I think this card's a lot better in Fang than it is Syndra, just because obviously Fang is probably going to block a lot better, but like it's still, I think it's solid. But yes, chat, I don't know if we figured this out yet, but reading the card explains the card. And you just get like Vera or Prodigy mentioned, you just get it whenever you want, which makes it like, yeah, cards get better or worse if you reread them. Who knows? Uh, Drop of Dragon Blood, 2 cost legendary. I already don't like it because it has the word legendary, but it probably is good. It's cost 1 less for each draconic chain link you control, which is very easy to do. Gain a resource, draw a card. This shit's busted. So you literally just what? It fulfills the requirement on the dagger because it's a draconic instant, and you just get a resource for free. Just like fuck it, half an e-pot. Here you go. I g- I guess it's offset by the fact it doesn't block, and you like have to make that play. Um, Also, the real reason you would play this is you can actually play this on defense. Pitch a blue, pay 2, gain a resource, go to 2 resources, and then play CYB. Done. GG. Game solved. Yep, it's a good card. Not because of the CYB meme, but you know, math be math. Math on Loyalty Beyond the Grave is 75% to see 2 or more copies in 10 turns. Yep. For the Drakai, we already saw this one. 0 for 4. Anything that says mark, this when this attacks a marked hero crit. This is probably, I mean, it's a 0 for 4. It doesn't have to be that good to be playable. And it's draconic, which means you can block down your hand and play it to maintain your tokens. Um, that this is actually really good because it can actually get you 2 tokens. It creates it because it's attacking marked here, and if they let it hit, you make another one. I think it's pretty good. Pretty good, pretty good. And we already went over these. Okay, Imperial Seal of Command, 0 cost. Oh god, an item? Legendary item was another ledger. Action, destroy this. Defense reactions can't be played this turn. If you are royal, the next time you hit a hero this turn, destroy all cards in arsenal. This card is ass. Oh shit. hit does equal flick. Okay. This is fine in any deck that does the flick thing. I respect it. Actually, though, this is like really good in Assassin because typically the way you beat Assassin is like you kind of have to set up a little bit and wait for the opportunity, and this clears that arsenal without a way to interact with it. Okay. I see it. I see it. Yeah. The big part that really took me off this card was the fact that you had to telegraph it. You have to action. So like if it was an instant, it'd be like bonkers, right? Because then you could just activate it uh on blocks. So as the block cards are going onto the chain, as they're resolving, you could activate it before we get into the reaction step, which means they can't react, and then boom, you do a little surprise thing. But the fact that you can flick and trigger it, like, okay, I see it. Is it worth an action point in a card? That's a because it's not a draconic card. So like there is an opportunity cost, you know. Lay low, we already went over. Exposed. It does seem like a convenient way to mark. I'm not gonna be on. I'm gonna be honest. Like we have to see all the other cards that like actively mark heroes to determine whether this is like above rate for a mark card or below rate. We'll have to. I can't evaluate this properly. Oh fuck! It does say royal. I mean, you could wear the headpiece. Maybe it's just a Syndra card. Yeah, it's probably just a Syndra. I guess Fang. I mean, Fang's going low to the ground, but you could block the daggers. Uh, the thing is, you have to activate this up front because so if you activate this and then have the daggers, I don't know. I don't like this card in Fang. I'm for it in Syndra. Public bounty. One cost, mark the opponent. No if, ands, or buts. Already seems pretty decent. Next time you attack a marked hero this turn, which is accomplished via that. Okay, so it's a 1 for 3. Okay, this seems like a very low opportunity cost to mark a hero. Because what we've seen is like you have to play this shit card to mark them, right, for 1 value. Whereas you're basically you're getting nimblism rate, right? A 0 for 3, go again. But you're paying a resource to mark, which so far, to be honest, seems like the most inexpensive way to mark heroes that we have seen. Like non-optional ways to mark the opponent. Uh Literally. It is like the cheapest way to mark from a value efficiency. The deck that has attack reacts makes your opponent not play. Okay. You got me, Vero. You're gonna block 6 on a okay. You got all right, it's good in both of them. I'll concede that. I'll concede that. But yeah, this is good. The fact that the opportunity cost to mark is only one resource, this has to be good. Compare, I mean, I'm assuming a lot of these hidden cards are ways to mark the opponent. I'm assuming the majority of them. But this is like the fact that it's completely non-negotiable, non-interaction. Just mark them, and you get like decent value from it. Blocks 2, but fuck it, live a little. And we're still missing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're missing a bunch of expansions. Interesting. Interesting. So that basically concludes all the cards that have been released so far. I'm gonna refresh it real quick and then do another skim just to make sure we didn't miss anything. Because they like literally are up. See? Spoke too soon. This is a card we didn't see. Under the Trap Door. See, I can already tell you I'm gonna like this card because this is my favorite agent. Has to be good. Has to be a good card. Blue 0 3 block 1. It's Bonds of Agony. Oh god. Stealth instant. Discard this. Banish target trap from your graveyard if you do play it this turn. If it would be. This card is amazing. What? Not just in bro, Azuri? What? This is nasty. I love this card. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not like insane rate. But the fact that it's a blue block 3 stealth that could just go grab whatever trap fits the situation. Oh, it's higher attack. Let me go grab that inertia trap real quick. Bro, this is good. Okay, let's keep going. There's got to be some more. We went over that. We went over that. Over that. Oh, this is new. It's legendary. Already busted. Holy shit, the art. Look at that. Little skull dude. Red 2 cost, so it's probably gonna get discounted. Who knew? 3 block. This cost 1 less for each. Okay. Yep. Standard. Daggers you control get +1. And you may attack. Okay, chat. This is wild. This is wild, bro. You hit him with this, and this. And hell, you don't even have to have this. You can arsenal this bad boy, play this, and boom, shit's turned on. What? So basically, this combines this and this. And then this one combines this one and this one. Which means we should see one that combines this one and this one to complete the cycle. Which means there has to be a card out there that gives them go again and lets you attack with them an additional time, which is maybe not because the go again is technically already on the card, so maybe you don't need it to complete the cycle. This is a good card. This is wow. Okay. The other day I thought the set was looking a little mid, but holy shit. These cards were so ass and now they're playable. I would literally just run. Yeah, you say fuck agility stance, you go power, senses, that, and flurry. Then flurry is like your only true liability cost because it doesn't pitch, but it blocks 3. And like attacking with your daggers an additional time is not the worst text. If you don't have tempo, or if you do have tempo, and the art's sick. Yeah, I understand that they're this attack, and that's why the deck might have to be heavy reaction focused to continue that chain. But yeah, there might be a card that combines these two because that's what we're seeing. This one, yeah, it combines +1 an additional time. And this one combines go again +1. So it's got to be one that combines these two. If things are going to be symmetrical, I'm gonna refresh again. We got some bangers in the past like 5 minutes. Holy shit, that card's good. Wow. Um, yeah, I thought like Bang was mid and a half, but I know it's a one of. Trust me, I get it. But it's so easy to sit on one card and wait. I'm telling you right now that if you play a deck that lets these two heroes just sit on an arsenal and play the game how they want, you're gonna get your shit pushed in. You have to threaten the which is thematical genius because of CNC, Bocor, well done, LSS. Well done. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Agility and flurry naturally combine, don't they? Yeah, but I mean, I'm assuming that there'll probably be one card that just combines them into one, just like these do. That's my thought process. Could be wrong. So, I love this card. Holy shit. Like, it's not broken or anything. Don't get me wrong. I just love the design of this card. The fact that you get to just no opportunity cost, blue, stealth, whatever. And then boom, you're just like, huh, I really want this trap at this second. Let me go grab it. Bro, we about to be playing Trap Assassin. This card too, man. There's some bangers in this set. That's for sure. They just took forever to show them. My goodness. Interesting. Interesting. Well, I think I'm going to end up. If anybody has any questions, comments, or concerns that they want to put in chat, please throw them in there now because I'm going to work on closing us out. Um, really interesting cards that dropped. And the set is starting to kind of make sense, or a lot more sense anyway. And so, yeah, uh, what we'll do is my plan for the near future is once all the cards drop. I know I have not done gameplay on the streams in quite some time, but once the cards fully drop and they're implemented in Talishar, we're gonna get back on the gameplay train and actually start playing some games because this is a flesh and blood stream after all. So that's gonna be on the agenda. I just I think the meta is a little solved, stale, whatever adjective you want to use right now. So I don't think a lot of people want to see that right now. But I'm eager to get back into the gameplay streams. I do enjoy those. Um, yeah. I just want to say thank you all for joining me. I really do appreciate it. For anybody going to Memphis, stop, say hi, and I'll see you there. Really do appreciate everybody joining me. And I'll see you next week. Take care, everybody.